Now let's talk about the future. Hello, welcome to Fox Yorkshire Views. This is part 3 of 3 of the series covering the Who Decides BBC documentary, with this video covering what I would like to see in the future. So I'll start from where I left off in the last video, where having an open space to explore I think is very positive. So I think society does have an active role to play, just to be open to ideas and create spaces where different genders can be accepted. And I think this also will then lead to more open discussion. So that means that people going through a transition, or if they wanted to explore their identity, could actually have open spaces and open dialogues. Because I do think it's very good to have different people, to whether it's cisgendered females, cisgendered males, non-binary, having a whole range of people that they can use to speak to, discuss how they feel, I think would actually be very beneficial. This is where I'd like to see things move towards. And I think this would also then mean that when you're looking at things like using blockers, then that means that can be used very productively. So if blockers are being used, this could be explored more fully. And this is where it comes back into one of the things that was featured later on, where someone regretted their decision, that they felt that they were pushed down one direction and that's the only direction they could go down. And I think in this way, if you did have that space where you can have that open dialogue, that male and female identities aren't as fixed and static, and in some ways I'd argue they're very much redundant, because in the modern world you can have a wide variety of people that maybe like more male things, and maybe you might have some males that might look more female things. These are all just labels that we place on things. So I don't think that anyone that doesn't medically transition, they are as valid as anyone that choose to medically transition, and no one that I've spoken to that has either gone through a transition or is going through a transition hasn't seen medical as something that's significant. It does have a weight to that choice, and it does have a lasting effect. So for someone to make that choice, I think you do have to at least give people credit to actually say they'll actually weigh up those decisions. And this is one of the counter arguments I've heard, which makes me feel very uncomfortable, that suggests that children do not have any ability to make a rational choice, and that I think is really undermining and demeaning. I'm not saying that people should transition young. There is lots of medical concerns, especially regarding things like physical surgery, that having physical surgery too young can be very dangerous and lead to obviously then more than one surgery. And there has been very famous reports with a psychiatrist trying to teach someone to be one gender, actually just flew in the face and caused a lot of problems. So to say that people aren't aware of gender or their gender identity, I think is not particularly accurate or very healthy for not only the medical professionals but also for the individuals involved in a transitional process. So I think by having a more open discussion and having a social view where gender isn't just fixed for male or female, even the cisgender community, there is a lot of variance in how people present, and all of those variances are just what it is to be human. So that's what I would really hope for going forwards, that we have the space to explore, even in communities which may not identify as transgender, to at least have those open discussions where people can feel more open and accepted. And this is a lot of things that go into, for example, things like the high suicide rates and misuse of certain substances. Having happiness and acceptance is a very key factor in that. And I think with society being concerned about young people expressing a desire to transition and their potential consequences, you can't really have that discussion without covering at least how society views gender itself. And that's, I think, very important. This concludes my series. This is probably something that I might want to come back to in the future. If you do have any ideas, any topics, do let me know. And as always, please subscribe.